Did Britain lose a massive aircraft carrier during the brutal Falklands conflict, we must ask? The answer is technically no, yet the fleet's core suffered losses that were perhaps worse strategically speaking. This is a deep analytical dive into the extraordinary vulnerability of the task force's naval air power capability. We examine the agonizing decisions the task force commander made to protect his most vital high-value warships. The two remaining carriers were the linchpins of the entire operation, 8,000 miles from domestic support. If one flagship had been destroyed, historians agree the military campaign would have immediately collapsed entirely. The determined leader and her command staff knew the ultimate political price of failure rested upon these steel decks. Let us now analyze the technology, the errors, and the surprising luck that saved the British invasion force's core. The task force commander initially had only two available carriers, the old carrier and the smaller, new Invincible. Their air group consisted of a pitiful number of vertical fighters untested and without immediate replacements ready. These aircraft were the only reliable, effective means of self-defense against the substantial Argentine Air Force threat. The naval admiral's anxiety to relieve dependence on his flagships was clear in his early operational landing proposals. Protecting the carriers required imposing the maritime exclusion zone designed to give the fleet crucial maneuver space. But the primary Argentine threat was not distant surface ships. It was the French weapon, the deadly sea-skimming missile. The British command feared the Exocet highly, especially since the Argentine Navy also possessed the specialized weapon system. Intelligence reports minimized the Exocet threat, initially suggesting only one specialized aircraft and 5 missiles existed. This dangerous underestimation contributed to a false sense of security among some senior staff officers during the deployment south. The initial aggressive air operations on May 1st brought the carriers dangerously close, within 70 miles of the hostile coast. The early success and subsequent swift naval losses forced a critical tactical recalculation for the task force commander at sea. The carriers immediately retreated hundreds of miles east, operating primarily as distant mobile floating airfields for air defense. By keeping the flagships safe, the escorts bore the full brunt of the relentless Argentine air attacks over the critical landing zone. The destroyer, the Sheffield, was mortally hit by the French weapon on May 4th. A stunning psychological blow felt across the fleet. Her destruction confirmed the missile's lethality and the inadequacy of the British air defense systems against low-level threats. The naval admiral sank into profound depression for 3 days, intensely rethinking his tactical options to prevent total disaster. The loss of the destroyer. Coventry further compounded doubts regarding the reliability of missile defense systems and capability. However, the single loss that most critically crippled the campaign's strategy was not a designated combat naval vessel. On Argentina's National Day, May 25th, the vital container ship was targeted by the Argentine Air Force using Exocet missiles. While the French weapon missed the prized carriers, the missile veered sharply and struck the vulnerable logistics supply vessel instead. This single hit destroyed nearly all the heavy-lift helicopters the indispensable Chinooks needed for advancing the land forces. Thus, while the core carriers survived, the ability to maneuver troops across the vast island was fundamentally lost overnight. The critical strategic question remains, why did the Argentine Air Force fail to hit one of the two irreplaceable carriers? The Argentine command structure was dysfunctional, suffering from immense inter-service rivalry and poor coordination of intelligence efforts. The Argentines' fear of the long-range Sea Dart missiles forced many of their pilots to fly suicidally low to evade radar detection. Crucially, flying low meant that many enemy bombs failed to arm themselves correctly, bouncing harmlessly off the British target ships. Had the Argentinians possessed only slightly better fused technology, the number of lost British warships would have been catastrophic indeed. The vertical fighters' superb performance and the lack of Argentine air refueling capacity further ensured the carrier's strategic survival. If a carrier had been sunk, the air defense over the landing zone would have immediately collapsed, leading to catastrophic troop losses. The task force commander would have been forced to withdraw the remaining carrier, exposing ground forces to relentless enemy bombing. The campaign would have been deemed an utter failure, causing a national humiliation far exceeding the losses during the Suez Crisis. The task force commander correctly prioritized the strategic survival of the flagships over escort protection or immediate offensive capability. Another key element protecting the carriers was the invisible, terrifying presence of the British nuclear-powered submarines, SSNs. These submarines enforced the exclusion zone and created immense psychological fear within the Argentine Navy regarding surface operations. The First Sea Lord was a key proponent in ordering these submarines south within days of the dictatorial regime's invasion decision. The sinking of the heavy cruiser General Belgrano by the submarine Conqueror immediately removed Argentina's primary surface threat. This devastating blow, delivered 40 miles outside the designated maritime exclusion zone, effectively forced the Argentine Navy into port. The Argentine surface fleet never again ventured to sea after May 2nd, relieving immense pressure from the distant British task force. Though controversial, the calculated destruction of the Belgrano was a crucial preemptive strike that secured the vital safety of the carriers. Had the Argentine surface fleet been allowed to approach the carriers, would have faced a catastrophic coordinated saturation attack scenario. The submarines then transitioned to surveillance, gathering crucial intelligence by observing aircraft takeoffs from the Argentine mainland bases. This real-time reporting provided the British vertical fighters vital early warnings, further enhancing the overall air defense of the flagships. The carriers remained safe, but the loss of heavy lift assets critically intensified the command friction and strategic logistical frustration. The ground force commanders, lacking critical Chinook capability, were forced to completely abandon their initial rapid air assault plans. The task force commander was consistently accused by frustrated ground generals of prioritizing his remaining carriers above all other considerations. They argued that the naval admiral should have brought the flagships closer to the islands, granting his vertical fighters longer duration patrols. Yet the naval admiral correctly judged that increasing the direct risk to the carriers was intolerable, despite the extreme inconvenience ashore. The resulting logistics strategy dictated that most troops had to traverse the vast island on foot, known by the Royal Marines as yomping. This arduous foot march across terrible, freezing, sodden terrain exhausted the soldiers long before they were able to reach the final enemy defenses. The imperative to advance quickly was fueled by London's intense pressure to secure a political victory before diplomacy forced a ceasefire. The disastrous naval air losses over the San Carlos beachhead only intensified Whitehall's desperate need for visible, tangible success on the ground. The subsequent critical decision to attack the fortified garrison at Goose Green was primarily a political battle driven by public urgency. The success of the vertical fighters in air-to-air combat was astonishing, achieving 24 reliable confirmed kills using the advanced Sidewinder missile. The air war was ultimately won, but the task force paid a heavy price in escorts and crucial logistic capability to protect the carriers. The land commander had to fight with insufficient mobility and constant logistical strain due to the loss of the vital support vessel. This vulnerability forced a deliberate strategic shift from advanced mechanized warfare back to brutal conventional infantry assault tactics. What enduring strategic lessons does the near loss of air power and logistical capability offer the historical strategist today? The campaign highlights the immense fragility of any distant military operation dependent upon a small, finite, dedicated air defense. The ability to deter was undermined by significant defense cuts made prior to the conflict, which reduced essential naval readiness and numbers. Britain's ability to project force 8,000 miles rested upon the absolute dedication and sheer technical skill of its specialized naval personnel. We see the enduring principle of concentration of force. Every available asset, including requisitioned civilian ships, was thrown into the massive effort. Furthermore, never underestimate the strategic power of a single nuclear submarine. Its credible deterrence capability can paralyze an entire surface fleet. If modern low-cost drone technology were introduced today, such a limited high-value task force would face overwhelming saturation air risk. This conflict underscores that complex technology fails under pressure, and ultimate success hinges upon the courage of the individual combatants. The Falklands War became a crucial case study in operational risk management, where acceptable losses were terrifyingly close to strategic catastrophe. This near tragedy reminds us that the crucial cost of war is measured not only in actual losses, but in lost critical strategic capability.